did not take a shower today.
Severed the
Yeah.
tips of my fingers right after having, because I tried to use a mandible in my arm, because I just had surgery. And,
You're gonna
I
have
ended
to talk
up
to your girls about
hurting my
that.
fingers, and then
It's
so
not
he
our
saw me when I was
fault.
at my lowest.
So,
I was like, I'm like. oh
How
my
did you
God.
decide to plant that?
Yep.
Oh, cypress?
Yeah, they
Yes.
grew.
Yeah,
It's shocking.
sorry for not replying to you, I was out of town this
I
weekend.
figured you were out of.
Feeling
Yeah.
sensation.
Right
So
here is a little
the
weird,
Trees
but.
Across Colorado, the program we buy like discount trees
Yeah.
for
So-
municipalities. The first year I got on with this one, Josh, the forester at the time, already had an order in.
Oh,
And he
Yeah.
bought 5 bulk cypress, like they were on their list.
Oh, yeah.
And
the
so
knuckles.
he bought 5
It
and
was just.
you know, he was kinda out of here before planting season even.
that's a great spot for that tree in Pioneer Park.
Oh, really?
I
That's the
think.
one where like, I don't know,
Oh, really?
have you seen the one at Fickle or
No,
Roberts?
no.
Oh yeah, we got one at Fickle, which is I think 3 years or coming into its 3rd year.
Really?
There's one at Roberts, which I know was like the first one we planted. That one's also really doing well. The one at Fickle's kinda yellow, a little yellow,
Hmm,
but the one at Roberts looks really good.
good.
And yeah, so they're like kind of like fringy.
I heard there are only like 2 or 3 of them
Yeah, they're
here in the state.
oh, we have some more down at Hillsdale too. where we
Okay.
plant up. And so we you know, we didn't just go overboard and plant them everywhere.
Right,
But the ones that we have are very promising so far, so
and I read that they have a taproot,
maybe I could see it. They're probably what we read is they're pretty swampy.
very,
They
yeah,
they like to live in swamps, so
they're called swamp cypress.
yeah. So we'll see.
Well, it's funny cause I gave that tree talk at Pioneer Park and, oh, it's 5:00, we should probably start that. Never mind, we'll talk later. I call this meeting to order at 5:02. Will the secretary please do the roll call?
Okay, Kathy Mitchell,
I'm here.
Lynn Larson,
Here,
Randy Neese here. Tony Baker,
I do not see anybody in Zoom.
she said she might be pretty late tonight, so she may not even join.
Okay.
Hannah,
Here.
Richard Kirkab,
Actually, I forgot to hit record. Sorry guys, I'm not even.
Oh, I heard it. It said it.
That was just on Zoom, so sorry, now we are recording.
Okay.
I don't think we missed much.
Never mind.
okay. So Amy Lentz, online or?
Nope, still no one on there.
Okay, Sean Murphy,
Here.
Paul Furnace.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Okay, so do we need to have the secretary read the minutes or may we just move to approve them?
I didn't get a copy this time, I'm not sure why, but
Oh,
Did I not send it out with the agenda this time? Dang it, sorry guys. I'm slipping,
I didn't catch it in time to give you a reminder, I'm sorry too, so.
my bad. Well, I did throw them up here real quick.
I'll just add, I was listening from the start over the phone while I was driving there, and then I joined in person at
Yeah.
25. Not that it matters, but
Oh, okay.
it's fine.
okay, well, those minutes take care of the one thing I was gonna bring up, so.
I can make that correction if you would feel your.
It's okay. I was letting you know.
And you scroll it up a little, there we go.
Yep.
corrections to the minutes, or do you need some more time?
If we don't need any more time, I'll move, we accept the minutes.
So moved, second,
Second.
all those in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed? So approved. We'll move on to public comment, non-agenda, and then you said you had it.
Oh, well, I was gonna raise the issue, but I noticed it was there in last month's minutes that 4 of you, well, Tony said she is not going, she can't and won't be reapplying, but 3 others of you do need to reapply.
I did that.
You did that,
Yeah.
okay. Randy?
I didn't. I need to, so.
Trying,
Yeah, I just did it.
and Amy has to as well. No,
No, Amy
no,
is.
no, Hannah has to, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just wanted to bring up, by the way, it's online now, so if you have any issues, it's brand new. Give me a holler.
With the applications?
Application. yeah.
Oh, really? Because I didn't do it online.
That's okay too.
Okay.
I think we'll get it.
We got Amy in the waiting room, I'll let her in.
Okay.
Make sure you can hear us and everything.
Any other public comment or non-agenda items?
I did wanna just ask a question. If we had to say, if there is like a calendar year that would be for like the committee, so like in 2024, like is that a January through December or how are we doing that?
I haven't figured it out.
And the reason I ask is I'm wondering at some point if we might wanna whether set like a year of goals or a year of like priorities, cause I'm realizing there's a lot that we could do and really like the holistic care of trees involves a lot. And so I think that would help me personally if I knew what the committee wanted to prioritize or achieve. Maybe that would be helpful for us all.
The term calendar year was something I brought, I can't remember what it was now, it was probably a year or more ago. What is a calendar year? Is it from August to August or is it from January to December? And it was decided, it was settled that calendar year is January to December. A term might be August to August. So however you,
Yeah, I was
Normally, we have
confused.
the committees on like the August, September schedule, so that's the rotation everyone's on at this point, just to make it simpler.
Okay.
Rather than people popping in and out of committees throughout the year. I don't know if it's better, it's just the chosen system that we've moved forward with at this point.
Okay, cause I was
And of
trying
course-
to figure that out.
back when I first applied and Amy first applied, the tree committee was short 2 people and there was nobody that applied by the August deadline. So we applied and we were appointed like I think in November. So our first terms were really a couple months short.
I guess just to go back to what I proposed, so I just wanna propose that for the committee's consideration, if we do wanna maybe at some point set some goals or priorities, or does Paul already have those set by like the
Well,
board or?
So I was actually looking over Kathy's report to the board, and it brought up that 5-point communications plan that we had, and Kathy did a really good job of saying what we've worked on and how it fits into each one of those 5. But I've noticed there's a couple of those pie slices we've kind of neglected, or not neglected, but maybe went focused on this first year. I mean, really, it was kind of the first year we introduced this like 5-point action plan, and I'm looking to see if I have a picture of it somewhere. But we could definitely look into working into those other pie slices. I think like public outreach. I think another one was like neighborhood liaisons or just like committee liaisons like to the public. And I can't remember the other one that like when I was reading it, I was like, yeah, we haven't really gotten into that.
Focused on that as much, yeah.
If I'm trying to look at.
So this might be a good guide
Mhm.
to put together kind of an annual agenda of things we would like to focus on.
Yeah.
And did you get a copy of it?
If it's part of the minutes, I'm sure I have it.
I would have sent it out separately.
Okay, I'll go back through and look.
But yeah, it's social media, print and email,
Here we go.
public events, partnerships, and advisory role.
Okay.
There we
There it is.
There you go. It's very nicely done.
Yeah.
Do we wanna put that out in January, beginning of the year, or?
Yeah.
And after we wrap up everything for the previous year?
Didn't Amy put that together?
September.
Yeah, he can do that.
start.
Yeah, that's true.
Rick can do that.
Amy, can you hear us in Zoom, by the way? I just wanna check that you can hear us.
Yes, I can. I'm having a little bit of poor service, but I think I've got you now.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, it's the first day of classes, and so I could not leave campus fast enough. I just couldn't get there in time.
You're good.
Sorry.
So yeah,
But maybe make it a point in January to look at this and say, how do we wanna focus our time?
Mhm.
on-
'Cause
on these
I feel like we've got social media and public events. But yeah, advisory role, partnerships, and print and email. We could maybe try to focus in on that a little more and how we're really going to do it. And I don't think we stray away from one just because we're working into the other one. Like we get, we got social media down. Like we've got that. We've got a nice like yearly rotation of posts going out. Public events, like we've got Arbor Day, we've got 2 events, Birthday and Oktoberfest. Yeah, until any other new events come up, or if we make another specific tree event, I couldn't see another one coming up. But yeah, print and email, advisory roles, and partnerships, we could maybe delve a little further into and see how we could, fit the tree advisory committee into those roles. Because yeah, this is a good plan. I like it.
That's well done, thanks. Thanks, Anna. Anything else on public comment, non-agenda?
Well, if we're talking about your report, is that down here?
We can talk about it.
I just noticed, and I'm not worried about it, but to be accurate, I think my name needs to be down as the vice chair since I was elected.
Oh.
And the roll call says I'm the vice chair. Amy was last year.
But you are now.
and-
Okay.
And we got Tony joining us now.
Okay.
I guess.
I mean, I'm fine to let Amy be on there, but I'm not sure it's totally accurate.
We should fix that. We should fix that. Yeah, that's fine.
I am happy to step back.
Thank you, Amy.
All yours.
I guess before we get too far away from that, Hannah, since you brought it up, I mean, is there anything, or for everybody on the board here, is there any goals that you guys would like to see the tree advisory take on? Like, if we did set some kind of yearly goals, like say in January. January might be kind of weird because it would go January, anybody up in September who doesn't make it. It might be better just to do like September to
Yeah.
September.
I was thinking the same thing.
But yeah, I mean, we could look into setting some goals and, trying to go through with them. So if anybody's got any ideas, like what you'd like to see us get more into, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think with me, I was just thinking it would be nice to know what the priorities are, like, so when I'm making suggestions or sharing thoughts or something, that I'm kind of considering that, but just also so that, as we're checking things off, we can look at, where else do we have room?
Where to go? Yeah.
And are we, kind of approaching it from a holistic perspective, I guess that's, but yeah, no, I think we could brainstorm ideas and then come together and then narrow down, prioritize.
I mean, one thing, I think would be great, I think that advisory role, provide committees recommendations for tree selection and maintenance, such as developments, parks, and public spaces, and collaborate with other departments as needed. I wonder if there is, any other advisory role we could serve in our neighborhoods. I don't, it might be in a different section here, but, it was in partnerships. Recruit neighborhood liaison to help spread the word of the HOA's metro districts and to neighbors. I don't remember who it was right now, but I had somebody come up and or bring it to my attention that I guess the tree advisory committees of old would walk through the neighborhoods and actually go door to door and like help people look at their trees, tell them what they see, and maybe just guide them towards tree codes or licensed arborist services here in town. Not being too pushy, but just like, hey, I noticed your tree's not, or we just noticed this, and because that would honestly help me a lot. And even with these new neighborhoods, I know that would be quite the undertaking, but I mean, like I feel like Randy is just like spearheading in Heritage Ridge, just getting out throughout his neighborhood and just spreading the word, and that's been great. I don't really get a lot of questions from Heritage Ridge much, so at least maybe people are getting the info that they might just otherwise not have known. So
Oh, so like actually plan out and publicize, the tree advisory committee is going to walk through, the new farm, whatever it is, out
Did
east.
we talked about this at the town event that we were at, and Amy, I was talking with Amy about it. Amy, it was like Sick Tree Day or something like that?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's something that Windsor does that's called Sick Tree Day, and they go around and they'll just pick one community and just go around and diagnose what, different issues with trees might be.
Would we like to do one of those next spring? Have a sick tree day?
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
maybe like in the spring.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh,
was.
yes.
Yeah.
I guess in Windsor it's kind of a big thing because I mean I've met with their town forester on a couple different occasions, and so I must be in their email pool. But I got emails like the month of, the week of, and like a lot of prepping and like, oh, it's Sick Tree Day coming up in Windsor, so like it wasn't just like the first time I came across it was actually it's on their calendar,
Mhm.
which is pretty cool for, I think it's the end of July or something, but yeah, it sounds like it kind of a big thing, so at least I could maybe ask them about how that
How
worked
they
out.
organize that and how they put that together.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We could kind of time it with either like after Arbor Day or before, and then advertise it at Arbor Day. But like as someone, I asked Amy to come look at my trees because I was concerned about them, and like it was just peace of mind knowing like, oh, there's actually nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great way to kind of get some face time with the community and educate too and help. So.
And then
And we could even get some of the Larimer County tree team involved if we wanted to.
what was the other one?
They're good at diagnosing stuff.
I forget the other one. But yeah, something like that would be. Oh, the other one was just a little more help and guidance on the Tree City USA growth awards. Again, I think those are really awesome. I'll speak from right now, the end of summer, we've got so much stuff that comes up and fires that need put out and so many other projects that, it's just like you're living day to day, week to week, and we've lost track of it this year. And, something that it doesn't have to be just me doing this. I think it's very fair that a tree advisory committee member could even do some of this, and I could maybe help set you guys up if you like had a project or something you'd like to undertake or anything like that. But or even just your guidance on what you'd like to see. Like some of them are just data collection, or some of them are like policy. That might be a little harder, but a lot of them aren't that tough to accomplish, and you only need 10 points. Even the smaller category ones that are really not that hard to take on add up quick. And it's something like right now where me and my techs just looked at each other and like, what have we done this year for a growth award?
Can you
And-
email out some of that
like
information
examples?
again?
Yeah, yeah,
I remember seeing that,
Mm.
but I wouldn't know where to go find it right now.
Hmm.
So yeah, if you would
Um,
send out, so we can get refreshed and see if there's something we can focus on.
Yeah. And again, like, if it's a project like that sounds like something you know, you or a couple other members could take on, that'd be awesome, and I'd be there to support you guys, cause you know, it helped us get that growth award that I feel like we should strive for, but also like it's gonna be good for the town. It gets the tree advisory committee a little more involved rather than maybe these just like once a month meetings. So I think that would also really help me.
Okay.
Sounds great.
But yeah.
Those are both good. Other non-agenda,
I was gonna just follow up on like with the HOAs and metro districts, that type of thing. Just from what I've seen, the HOA that I belong to doesn't have a lot of information on trees. And I think it kind of shows. And possibly go to an HOA meeting for some of these newer subdivisions and just give them some background information on it. Because I think a lot of people, you know, don't have any idea, the street trees, taking care of them, that type of thing.
Mhm.
Or just basic
Well, we've been,
care for their trees.
Randy, before Randy was even, no, Randy was not just on the committee. Randy and I and Linda Wilson, who has attended out here, we put together this big chart of parts of town and collected information. And it's probably out of date now, we'd have to update it, but who's the contact person for various HOAs, metro districts? In fact, there's about two, let me call them real estate groups that seem to have virtually all the metro districts in town under their wing, and some of the HOAs too. But we've got that, it really needs to be looked at again and updated. I just recently joined something which I think I'm gonna drop. It's Next Door or something, I think Tony's neighborhood was in. And the reason I say dropping it, because I'm finding it's more of a social media.
yeah.
There were two men in my front, out in my cul-de-sac this morning, looking and pointing at houses, and better be safe, you know. So I'm not finding that is gonna be as useful as the HOAs themselves. But I was hoping that there would be some neighborhood type of groups that were really truly birthed neighborhoods. This one seems to run anywhere within 30 or 40 miles from here.
Yeah.
But at any rate, we did that, and Linda and Randy did a great job in collecting their part. I ended up with Old Town, and I've been trying to figure out for 2 years what to do about Old Town and places where we don't have HOAs, and just walk around and talk to people. So if we were doing our sick tree thing, I could incorporate that into walking the neighborhoods. And do you have a neighborhood group that would accept the information?
Are you suggesting that as like an idea that like HOA education?
Yeah, even one HOA meeting a year, or sometime a year, because you get more residents there. And, you know, if you go with the HOA board members, it may not get down to some of the people.
The residents, yeah.
And the residents that come are usually a little more active and care a little more about what's going on. And get them some education, because I'm sure there's a lot of, I'd like to do something, but I don't know what to do type thing. And it wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't have to go to every meeting or anything, just once a year maybe, or something to that effect.
I'll just add, as I've worked with more, you know, like on these tree walks where I go and meet maybe like the landscape, or it's not even the landscape company, it's like the person who's going to be responsible, that makes sure their, you know, their HOAs, open spaces and right-of-ways are up to par and they're all maintained and all that. I've gotten, talking to a couple of those people, and I feel like they would be good contacts just to at least like get that info kind of starting to go into the HOA, and maybe they can start passing it around. For instance, I was up at doing a warranty walkthrough up at Vantage, and I was talking to the guy, and yeah, he was gonna maintain all the open spaces and all that, but he was asking me questions about, recommended trees and, what kind of information basically you can pass on through their HOA to their residents, because, like, that was his job, I guess, and, I still have his contact information, but there might be somebody like that at each HOA that at least can pass it on. And yeah, maybe that list needs a little refreshing,
Mhm.
but maybe instead of, I mean, I think if it's something y'all wanted to do, like go to like an HOA meeting or something, but maybe just getting it out to these higher ups, the person will maybe trickle it down to somebody to eventually it makes it to a newsletter.
Mhm.
You know,
That was kind of the idea when we first started putting this together.
and I was thinking about it because I kind of read it in Kathy's report and I was like, yeah, we still haven't done anything with that too. So,
Well, the question is, who should be doing anything with it?
yeah,
What should we be doing with it? I mean,
Yeah.
what's suggested down here is, okay, that's our starting point to make a contact. Can we come to your meeting?
Mhm.
Because there is a person there that we can talk to.
I do like the idea of the meetings though, because I think some people don't even know, like, don't even have a frame of reference, and so this way we could like, this is the website, this is, just a reminder, you have to get an approval,
Just
And
all
then
around, just
reference
a
back.
Yeah,
little reference back, like you say, yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay,
Do we wanna make an action item out of that?
that's what I'm not sure about, what exactly is our action
I
item?
almost think like we add that to the list of the upcoming goals. or
The
something.
goals or
Yeah,
whatever,
that's-
yeah,
Add to
because
that.
probably updating what you had already done might be a good
Update,
place to start, and then,
And then add on to that, what you've been talking about is, okay, now, who from the committee is gonna attend which HOA meeting to bring the reference back with?
well, Randy will do that.
Oh.
No, but yeah, I know what you mean, you don't wanna make it too time consuming or whatever, maybe a reference packet or something. Even if you just hand it to them at the meeting,
That's
so
what I
it
mean.
becomes part of their minutes and maybe something they would carry on down the line or something, but.
So there's a goal.
well, coming up next month, we've some chairs expire and maybe we just have renewed terms or maybe we have a couple extra people in here, but and I don't know if it's going, like, if our new members would join us in the September one or if it would be in the very next one. But maybe that would be a time to
I would bet October would be the best time, probably.
October,
Yeah, full board.
yeah, we set some goals, like what, like, I know it's like kind of hard to set some really, really defined goals, but maybe we could set some broader goals and figure out how to narrow it down and,
Well, cause even like with that, like we could say, yes, that's important, but that might not be the short-term priority, or like that might be a longer term, so.
Yeah.
Cause I think we're just gonna keep throwing out ideas and, like Randy was saying, like it is important to have an action,
Mhm.
for some things.
Would that be a point in your growth award thing, if we did that?
maybe. Like I said, it's been a while since
Strategic
I've checked. I mean, honestly, I'll tell you guys, it's kind of easy to earn some points. Like some points we earn passively, like we don't even realize. The fact that we've got chairs coming up and we're going to, fill those chairs is 2 points out of 10. So like some years are gimme years, but sometimes it can be just like, oh, we pruned our young trees this year. We didn't even think about it. We didn't do it for a growth award, but it earns us points.
Right.
But it's also nice to have documentation. You can't just be like, yeah, we did that, and then like, we need proof.
Maybe we can tie into this goal setting, we can, when you send out this again, so we remember what it was, we can tie some of those growth award things into our goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, cause I think there's just, like, Paul can't do everything, and everything and anything that needs to happen with the trees, we can't do everything and anything, and so we might achieve more by like
You're right, our
being
focus.
selected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? This is good discussion. Any other public comment on agenda items? Can we move on to discussion items, Main Street tree replacement? Doesn't look like there's any public comment, but do you have any comment, Paul?
Yeah, so if I bring this up, I know Main Street is very, well, front and center for a lot of people. And I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on something. Maybe we can come up with something good. But coming up here to the railroad tracks, if you were coming from out east, you come to this tree, and if anyone's been down Main Street, that is quite full for what it is now. It's always, as far as I remember, it's always been pretty bad. My guys went out there. They're also not a huge fan of it, and they pruned it up to code, so that's why it does not look so great these days. 14 feet off the road, 8 feet off the sidewalk, and there's also a bus stop sign that is very non-visible. So it is like literally one branch, and
It's in the
we
wrong
were
spot.
thinking about. I mean, it's one of the few spots on Main Street that is open for a new tree. Kind of exciting, but also the thing that is troublesome here is you can see kind of some challenges if this one poses. I don't know if this sign would be able to be moved, and then my other concern is that like if you're a bus approaching it, it kind of might block the view of.
It's blocking it,
Yeah, it's not exactly the best spot for a tree. Oh, and also the reflected heat off this metal building. It might be a little hot, which is maybe why this one died. I think it was a maple.
The other two are doing okay?
Yeah, the other two are elms, and they're maybe a couple dead branches here and there, but they're still looking pretty good. It's this one that's just in really bad shape. So, I mean, my best idea was a Kentucky coffee tree, a podless Kentucky coffee tree. They're pretty hardy. A podless one, we have another Kentucky coffee tree up near Panthers Gate, up near this 4th Street intersection, and it is quite messy. So if we could find a podless one, I think that'd be great. I think it'd be able to stand the heat. But also, if this is just a bad spot, I wonder if
Should you even put a tree back there?
exactly.
Yeah.
Is it something we're going to be taking out in
Would
4 more
we,
years? And
would we be better off with a small bush thing that's no higher than that sign?
The thing is
The-
though, it's providing shade for the people sitting there at the bus stop,
Yeah.
and it looks better than that building. Like, that building is not exactly attractive.
Yeah. Very true.
Like, I'd rather look at the trees there than the building.
I agree.
About
Oh.
a columnar tree there.
But there's not much dirt there, is there?
Yeah, so that's another trouble.
Really minimal.
With all these little planting spots all along mountain, they're actually tied into our the irrigation that waters those pots, and so each one of these has one drip emitter in it. It's kind of a joke.
Wow.
Main Street was not very well thought out for trees, unfortunately. So maybe without any major reconstruction, this is what we get. And I don't know. I'm still deciding, Rich, if I like columnar trees on Main Street. We've got, this one. We've got a columnar oak also at Fickle, not really Main Street, but on Mountain. I think it's, it was a good tree for this spot, considering there was an awning right there. It will grow bigger, but when it does, it'll be still pretty shapely. With columnar ones, at least what I know with these oaks, and I'm seeing some other ones, like a heavy snow will really weigh them out of shape and they don't really bounce out of that. At least the ones I've seen. Maybe oaks might be a little more tenacious than that, but you know, I don't know. I could try another one, but I don't know also if a columnar one would block that view, and it would take a long time before it would get limbed up out of the way there.
I know we're a tree committee, but maybe putting a planter there, like a low-rise planter that, you know, gets repopulated each spring with flowers that stay low. It would eliminate the problem with the plant or the sign. You could connect it to the drip system so that it gets a little water.
I'm almost wondering if they intentionally put the bus stop there for a reason, because it could have been so many other places. Like, it looks like it was intentionally put there. And I'm wondering if it was because of the trees. Maybe not, I don't know. But like, it could have been up here, it could have been anywhere.
Yeah, that's a good question. Probably just somewhere out of the actual, you know, heavy traffic
The
of
train
Main Street.
intersection, yeah.
And
Length to get in there.
Yeah, true.
Well, the one on the other side of the street, of course, is where the current skate park is,
yeah, that one's
which I didn't attend the meeting except by Zoom and didn't make a comments because other people already made the comments about, and Linda was there. We need to keep the skate park, but
it's the old skate park now.
well, yeah, but it's used, and the east side of town is growing. Oh, I'm digressing. This is a trustees thing, not a tree committee thing.
I can pass forward comments on that kind of stuff. I mean, you've got some healthy trees there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
but
looking at redeveloping that site.
Right.
all the way through from Mountain to Welsh. Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, and
Awesome.
I mean, obviously, why these trees are doing so well is because they have a little bit
Water.
more rooting area, all that.
Yeah,
that
there's
good stuff.
grass, there's dirt.
Yeah.
It's a town park.
You're right.
Yeah. So yeah, this one has really racked my brain. If there should even be a tree here, what would be a good variety?
What direction is facing that building?
We're looking west down the street and it's,
Yeah,
to
so
the
this
right is the
south
north.
So you got the
This
south
is
sun
south.
bouncing right off of that.
yeah, a
middle
lot of
building.
reflected heat. Go ahead, Amy.
I was just gonna suggest maybe a tall ornamental grass there, like a switchgrass or something that would just fill that gap. Easy to maintain, it wouldn't attract insects or anything, so something maybe think about.
Okay.
It won't provide shade, but it would be great for those here.
It's a thought.
You got some ornamental grasses on the west side of the tracks, I think, don't we? Right across
Street.
from the railroad park. Some over there,
I mean,
over there.
that one's oh, and this goes back way far. No, not really. Kinda. I mean, they're tucked out of the way. They haven't really really flourished by any means. But these planter beds, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, no, just as something possibly to mirror across the tracks, you know,
Hmm.
if you're going that route.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could put like some sort of art installation that provides shade also.
You know,
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a tough one, honestly. I mean, I guess the other really hard part with this one too is it'd probably have to start a small tree, honestly, because you can see these planting spots. It would be a squeeze for a bulb and burlap to go in there,
Oh my
and we would
gosh.
have to.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't do much else. We couldn't
Yeah,
we
there's
couldn't
no-
make it a saucer shaped or
There's
anything.
no
We just
room, yeah.
you just and the other thing is I would imagine our irrigation drip line is somewhere down there, and we might run into that, which we are really crossing our fingers that nothing goes wrong with that irrigation drip line because yeah, it's buried under all those sidewalks in Old Town there.
Not, no sleeving under those sidewalks?
There might be, but I don't know if it ran underneath the road or in the gutter or underneath the sidewalk, but our backflow for this whole strip is right here in front of the museum. And so it goes around the corner to this this pot that's around the corner, and then we've got drip that go in all of these tree beds all the way up to the railroad. And like I said, it's one drip per, it's probably 1 inch PVC. We're guessing it's probably like right there, right underneath it. So
I almost
we've
wonder,
been lucky where any repairs needed have been like right at the surface level where we can cap it, repair it. But yeah, if anything happens to that line below ground, oof.
do you know when they're gonna be redesigning that, Sean?
You're talking about the skateboard park?
Or, oh, so it's just the skateboard park area?
It goes all the way back to Welch,
Okay.
as mentioned, but right now what we're doing is we hired an architecture firm to basically create kind of a general plan with feedback from the board on what could be developed there. So we have something to present to developers and show this is kind of what the town wants here. Obviously it'll change, but it's a good time to talk about kind of those public versus private spaces. And as for the tree committee in particular, obviously any trees in the area, if we wanted to add trees, that would fall under your guys' purview. But if you have any general development comments, I'll take those too.
It's just like,
It's
it's cute
a,
there, except for that one area.
I mean, it could happen very quickly within the next few years, or it could be a long-term thing. You
Yeah.
don't know.
Cause it's almost like it needs to be like replanned, where I know this is a longer term solution. But it is the first kind of part of the town you see.
That was the point that was being made at the trustees meeting.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten how much green grass and trees we actually had there, cause I was focused on,
I
So
forgot
that-
about the trees.
Yeah,
the
kind
I think maybe it's common knowledge at this point, but there's also this they're talking about redesigning this 3rd Street corridor
Right.
third and around the corner
Yep.
onto
onto
Massachusetts too, right?
yeah, and we've gotten some designs and I've given feedback, and they want to definitely do like a lot of street trees, you know, down in front of all these businesses, and I told them we need to seriously look at something like Ingenuitive or something for tree grates, because otherwise we're like we can't be
That's
planting.
not a good place to put trees right there.
Not really, no. I mean, if anything, at
Alright.
least it's like a you know, wider sidewalk where it's got like a, they wanna plant them like right along the curb. But I was saying we need something to get water to these trees, like they can't be buried under concrete, it'll just be their tombs. I mean,
Right
and
there.
I actually, I walked them around the corner to these 3 trees in front of the bus stop here to show them. I'm like, we cannot have this if we want it to be as like flourishing as these designs. Like this, it's not practical until something works. And you know, I kind of talked about maybe like a not like a fully like brick sidewalk, but like that there's a sorry, I'm going all over the place here, guys, but try not to make you sick. Like there's this little brick strip over here, maybe it's bigger, you know, like it's brick from like the ends of these over here, but that they're not sealed, they're not, that it's not like pavers or something, like water can infiltrate through that area and not just wick right off into the gutter, it's gone. You know, we need, if we want trees on Main Street, we need a better way to get
Yeah,
water
provide
to their
a
roots.
good, better place for them.
I wonder if there's like an in-between where they could make like, and, I know like redoing everything is not a short term, but like where maybe they could pull up some of the pavers or whatever and like do like a mini refresh of that, and put like seating or something, or I don't know what else could be there, but
I was
it would
gonna
look better.
bring up, Paul, do you know of any best practices for like tree grade sizing along with kind of permeable pavers? Is there a spec for that floating around or that you've seen?
There's some towns that have had some success with, you know, I've seen some very minimally, like in, you know, just like maybe like a cast iron big grate that just widens the footprint, and it's you know, instead of like a little 3 foot by 3 foot, it turns it into like a 6 foot by 6 foot, and it's a nice decorative, you know, cast iron paver or whatever. But I've also seen ones that they basically install these blocks underneath the concrete that allow for, like, it actually should restrict the compaction of the soil, being, you know, so heavily trafficked. Something like that. I've seen, like, I mean, big cities try something like that. But otherwise, it's I think it's probably an age-old question between forestry and infrastructure. Like, how do you get a tree to thrive in something that you don't want water sitting around or, you know, percolating or shifting the sidewalk? It's, you know, it's kind of a unfortunate mismatch.
Downtown Longmont, where they have trees that got the wire thing with the grate, and as the trees grow, assuming they grow,
Yeah.
they can replace the grate and get a bigger hole for it.
Yeah. Well, and what I've heard too is, you know, usually those are just like circular.
Yeah.
You know, and what you do when the tree outgrows it is you cut another ring out.
Yeah, that, okay.
Yeah, you take your grinder out there and cut another ring out so that the tree doesn't grow into it and,
Oh,
you know, like chokes itself out. So, yeah. But, yeah, so that's, Main Street trees are, we've kind of opened up a can of worms that, Main Street trees, you know, could have a better home, honestly. But, you know, as for replanting or replacing this one, any tree suggestions, or just completely avoid planting a tree there?
Just need to
Or?
put something else there if it doesn't do well.
I mean, the idea of an ornamental grass isn't bad at all, at least it's green, and it'll survive better than a tree, any
Yeah.
kind of tree.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be devil's advocate here, but I do think that there is some value to kind of hiding the bus stop a little bit and having something there that is.
That's why I'm thinking. the
And I
ornamental
think it's like
grass.
an inclusivity thing too, also to make it nice for the people that rely on public transportation to
Yeah.
have shade there.
I like the planter idea, I thought it was pretty good.
That's not bad.
Maybe get some color there.
And there are
in
two
front of the
trees
bus
on
stop.
either side too.
It'd probably be a small planter,
Yeah,
because there's only would be one drip line to feed it, and so yeah, I mean it might be possible, just a single, like a small planter, but yeah, it'll probably end up more of an ashtray than anything.
Oh, boy.
there you go.
Well, I've seen some cities where they actually put the planters inside a warehouse during the winter to keep them growing, and then they bring them out in the springtime to populate the street. So, I mean, there's a lot of options for that type of function.
So you're talking like yeah, like not something more like our other pots down Main Street, like something we could just pick up and
And move.
just walk it out.
Yeah, you need a forklift to lift it into place. You say it's a drip line, but the drip lines that I have are restricted by the little head that's on the end of it. So you can put a 2 gallon per hour or a 5 gallon per hour on the end of that and get more flow to support the tree.
Yeah, you could micro spray on there, you could get enough water out of a drip line for sure.
Okay.
any other comments about the Main Street tree replacement?
Good luck.
It's tough. It's gonna be hard to make everyone happy, but.
I know it's focused on Main Street, but since Paul did raise the third Massachusetts corridor, on the Old Town Hall site, I can't remember, do you remember if there were trees involved with any landscaping on that, Sean?
I think the intent is to bring in trees on Mass and Third on both sides. I'm not sure of the actual profile that's been kind of decided. We looked at a couple of profiles for expanding sidewalk and parking. We're still kind of working through those issues and stuff. But like, I brought up the tree spec thing for like the base because I don't know if we legit have one, which would be nice to really incorporate into that, you know, sidewalk profile to make sure we've got enough space, or at least better space than what these trees have.
Yeah.
Throughout that project when that gets done.
Thank you.
Do we wanna move on to the town park trees after construction discussion?
Yeah, I got some good notes on that one.
Okay.
Actually, sorry, you brought it up and I didn't remember exactly what it looked like, but these are like urban tree root systems.
Oh.
This one looks like it's in like a planter, not really necessarily a sidewalk, like a pavement kind of thing. They call them arbor systems, so like it's like a, they build almost like a, like a backbone underneath the concrete, and then that'll help compaction, and hopefully keep the soil underneath kind of ideal for the roots to keep spreading out and flourishing. And yeah, but it's I've only ever heard of it done in like really, you know, towns that want to pay that price for it. That's kind of like a half conceptual, half. But yeah, they look kind of like this. You know, and they're so new. Who knows if there's actually you know, any really good science behind them or anything. So yeah, that's
I'm sure there has to be something though, for like kind of where your mouse is right now, like that thing. Or sorry.
yeah. I'd love to see some kind of ingenuity for, you know, something that really helps trees thrive in the urban setting. Because unfortunately, yeah, it's two contradicting ideas, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know. I just looked that up real quick and thought I'd show you guys. But yeah, we can move on to the town park trees after construction. Town park is almost done. I don't know a specific date when it'll be open for the public, but it is close. Like they're putting in sod and they're putting in a lot of the landscaping, which is usually what comes last, you know, so it's really almost finished. With us being able to get back in there and it being under our control, it's time for me to take back, you know, full care of those trees. We want to get some trees pruned up. They are we were fortunate enough to get in earlier this month and prune off some concerning branches that have popped up, especially seeing what is now underneath those branches. So we were actually able to get in there a day and clean out some dead branches, and we're probably going to go a little harder when we get back in, and some pruning will be necessary. And then also I was going to I'm getting quotes for some of these like deep root feeding programs for that some of these local tree care companies offer. Really get some fertilizer really down to those roots and hopefully, you know, to where they ended up, unfortunately. To hopefully get them to start to regrow and overcome that construction stress. It's the least we can do for those trees. The unfortunate challenges of the new park is that, you know, the old park used to just be all grass, except for like, you know, maybe a walkway or two and the playground. Sprinklers used to be able to cover that whole park. And now there is a lot of concrete, there's a lot of, there's a couple like ornamental beds that don't have anything planted in them, therefore no water going to them. A lot of trees are going to be shooken up without, you know, getting the water that they have originally gotten over, you know, the many years that Town Park has been there. So the least we can do is try to give them some fertilizer, keep those watering programs a little bumped up in their first year, if not second year, if not third year. We just need to be really getting these trees on the recovery path. So it was this fertilizer program that I was going to get for fall, spring, and then we'll kind of evaluate it, you know, going forward. And then there's another chemical I'm looking into. It's the brand name's called Cambistat or Shortstop. It is basically it's a synthetic plant hormone that will shorten the internode lengths and the leaf sizes of trees and kind of actually slow the tree's growth down. It doesn't seem like that's really useful, but it's actually pretty revered by arborists in the industry that you can those trees that they're not putting so much energy into shoot growth and these crazy big leaves when they have the water, they are using less water. They're not putting on so much shoot growth that accounts to weight, which you know, means less time between pruning cycles. But what I'm looking at it for is that reducing weight on some of the branches, or at least slowing down the growth on some of the branches that are overhanging some of these more populated spots where there were none before. For instance, like benches and little shade pavilions and the playground. I would just like to slow down the growth of some of those trees if possible. I'm still doing my research on it, seeing if it's going to really work for the application. I'm hoping. I've talked to a couple chemical companies about what results they see, but really I don't want to put it on all the trees. You apply it to one tree at a time. It's not something you just like broadcast and, you know, you do it. You treat one tree at a time, and I want to treat those cottonwoods. I want to slow them down. I don't want them putting on tons of growth, considering that they're you know, already not looking great. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Those other three cottonwoods still kind of worry me. We had some wind over the weekend, and I went to Town Park today, and they were showing me it wasn't a huge branch, but it was another branch that fell, you know, right next to the playground. And when we have tons of people in there, that's what kind of freaks me out. And it wasn't even the wind; it was just that cottonwoods are known to drop branches here and there. So, and then also we have another. You know, I didn't know, it was hard to conceptualize, you know, from a plan perspective where everything was and then corresponding it to what I was seeing out there. But unfortunately, a brand new, you know, the brand new playground is underneath a very large overhanging cottonwood branch that really freaks me out. So honestly, we're probably going to just remove that branch so I can sleep at night. It's pretty big, and I don't want to cause too many wounds on the cottonwoods, but also I haven't tracked down anywhere where I can get they call them level 3 assessments of trees, where it's actually a little more invasive, intrusive. They get into the tree, and you can figure out how hollow a tree is or how weak its wood is, either through like resistographs, which just basically measure the amount of like force against the drill bit, or there's like sonic ones where it's actually sending sound through the wood, but you can map a tree's like if it's hollow or not. I haven't been able to find anybody in Colorado that offers those kind of equipment services. So the next best thing we can do is cut a branch off and see. That's how we found the first three, and how we found a very large hollow branch on the first three trees, which kind of raised the concern outright in the first place. But we also don't want to cause so many wounds that old mature tree isn't able to recover from it, and we're opening up more channels for these wood rotting organisms to get in an already weak tree. So
Have they planted new trees?
yes.
Okay. And so they've got those irrigated correctly and.
Yep.
So you'll have some understory growth coming up.
Yep.
When those cottonwoods finally disappear.
Yeah, I don't know how off the top of my head how many new ones are going in. They're not really shadow planted per se, but they're many new trees have been added. So
I know that
Just
from something I saw, the trustees have had a tour of that. I was wondering, could the tree committee have a tour?
I mean, it might be open as soon as a couple of weeks or
Well,
something. I don't know exactly.
Here's the info I've got right now and stuff. Right now, we're looking at a tentative opening on September 7th, but that's kind of dependent on final punch list stuff. We're waiting on two pieces of plumbing equipment for the splash pad. We may or may not open with that functional. Beyond that, I haven't been over there. Have they put sod down and stuff? Okay.
They put on sod on Saturday.
Okay, and then beyond that, tree count, I wanna say it's something like 70 now, it's almost double, what we had there initially. So we'll have a decent amount of trees there, so, I think that's all I wanted to bring up. But, yeah, we're still kinda waiting for final word when it's gonna open, but it's pretty nice, and you guys should be able to get out there within the next month or two. I think it'd be worthwhile to go check it out. I mean, if we wanna do that as a tour, you
Yeah.
guys want to.
And honestly, I would imagine that, I mean, they're really probably going pretty hard coming up into the final month, they're just really trying to get stuff out of the way, but if we, say went at like 5:30,
Yeah.
and walked around and hopefully most of the construction, there's not a lot of, it's really just like a couple like landscapers and plumbers in there right now. It's not a hustle and bustle like it used to be. So, maybe I could try to get us in. Maybe we could do like a halfway meeting in these next 2 weeks where, we meet up there at 5:30 someday. And
A field trip, there you go. Sure.
I think we would just all need safety vests, which maybe I could scrap up a vest, enough vests for everybody. Here.
Herd hats?
Yeah, they're kind of loose on that now since there's not so much going on above. But yeah, I mean, we could go for something like that. I could definitely start asking people if
Okay.
if you guys want to set a date or something. Otherwise, I'm sure before the next meeting we might not talk about it, and then by that point it might already be open to the public. So
Today's the 19th. 26th.
Is there a grand opening function?
We haven't determined that yet, we're kinda waiting to find out.
So in a week or two?
26th or the 2nd. We could do any day too. Well, preferably not Fridays. But you know what though, if it happens to be a Friday, I'm okay with that too.
Okay. Do you wanna check it out with the powers that be? The
Yeah.
group that's doing the work, yeah.
I mean, they're pretty accommodating.
Okay.
It's not like they have to stop anything that they're doing. Most days I just drive right in there. These days it's not that bad.
Okay.
I could just, if we set a date, or maybe at least have a couple, I could be like, hey, can we stop by with a group. I mean, Sean, you already said the board went through. Like,
Yeah, I missed the board tour, but they went through a couple of weeks ago and
Yeah.
stuff.
so
It's no big deal.
yeah,
We just
people
need
are,
to line it up.
people are coming in and out these
Okay.
days, so I don't think it'd be too much. Just more of like a heads up, a courtesy of a heads up. We'll be touring through with a group. So
What benefit do we expect to derive from this visit? I mean, we won't have any input on changing anything. It's just a feel-good trip, so
He can show us his cottonwoods and his concerns.
One of the first views. Perks of being on the committee. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could see the unfortunate state some of the trees are in. It's not terrible, but you know, maybe as like a little bit of a perfectionist and a plant guy, the couple of trees that have gotten nicked on the trunks, I can see it all the way across the park, and it's never gonna go away. And like, that's the kind of stuff that I don't know. In reflection, I wish I definitely had a little more say since the beginning, at least in respects to preserving those trees that were there. But yeah, not much else to see. Yeah, take a
Policies on that, like constructing around trees or developing around trees? I think there should be.
there should be.
It was all in the plans, didn't they have a tree preservation?
There was a
plan
heated
with it?
discussion over preservation versus removal of a lot of those
I
cottonwood
see.
trees and stuff. And the board felt that we should largely preserve as many as possible.
Yeah, I mean, now in reflection, after all this is done, I might kind of work on something that maybe, and I don't see another project like this getting undertaken anytime, unless for some reason they feel like doing this to Fickle, but I think Fickle's gonna be the way it is forever. Like, there's no need to change that park, but if another one of our town sites with mature trees goes under construction like this, I would hope that we implement enforceable tree protection rules. It's one thing to say that, hey, we should try to preserve these trees, but it's another thing to say that this is what's going to happen if these are not upheld. Because, everybody there needs to get their work done. Everybody there, needs stuff moved from time to time, or needs to put stuff here or there, because there's a lot of stuff, happening all at the same time. But if there's no reason for them not to, or reason for them to uphold those rules, then they're going to break them. They're going to scoot our tree protection fences and hope that we can't do anything. So we need, again, if this is ever needed, we need a tree protection plan with teeth, fines and rules like this that, because,
Do we have any significant numbers of trees around the edges of the existing ball fields there when we get to, phase 2 or 3 of the town park complaint?
it's only the ones that are on that fence line that might be kind of close.
Next to the school, you mean? The other fence line?
Kind of just that south and east side.
Yeah.
But around the outside of the ball field, like, no, there's no trees over there.
Okay.
I think you raise a good point though, because the cost of like remediating, not being careful with those trees is probably gonna be a lot more than trying to be careful, like removing the tree or replacing the tree.
I've seen it on construction documents though,
Mhm.
where they have a preservation plan. I mean, they show how they're fenced off, dimensions to where you have to stay away from, underground and above ground.
Mhm.
I don't know if they had those in there or not.
We've had soft protections on the trees and stuff. We haven't had really any strong enforcement mechanisms built into the documents, put
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah,
It was more a verbal thing at the beginning, more just like, hey, you guys really, I told them ideally these protection zones are around the the drip line of each tree. Well, then when you start to realize that that leaves them nowhere to work,
Exactly, yeah.
it's like, okay, well then, all right, scoot them in a little bit, like you can move them in, and then they're like, well, stuff still needs to go there. I'm like, okay, well then when you're going into this already small tree protection line, please notify me when you're making cuts inside this tree protection zone. And then I'm showing up and they're trenching through, after a while electrical and irrigation were going down, the tree protection fences were just gone. And it's like, at some point, like, they should have just stayed up because, like, there should be nothing going through these zones. But they just, I mean, I don't blame them. It's not like they maliciously did anything. They just were there to get their job done. And if, it says a pipe has to go from this light pole to that next one, the guy running the machinery, he just reads it off the plans. He's not paid to,
Right.
do this and that, so.
Like,
Yeah.
so a lot of the town we inherited and we have to work around, like, the trees and the concrete. But like, if they're putting something new in, like, there's the benefit of planning and having people that are experts in this area. And so, like, I think whether it's putting it in like a construction requirement, like, they need to talk with you or plan with you or something. But
Yeah.
I just feel like that's not acceptable. Like, we have to work around the things we inherited, but like starting out, like,
I'll just say this, some of these things are tied into political decisions,
Okay.
whether they should be or
I
not.
see.
If that makes sense.
Just don't like reaction.
Reality.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, can we go to his staff report before we do the poster calendar
Sure.
discussion? Is that okay?
Just one more thing on that.
Sure, go ahead.
I think going back to also like having that company or whoever is doing the work there have a little skin in the game with fines. That it's not just like, hey, you shouldn't have done that. Oh no, I caught you. It's like, hey, if I come in here and these are moved, that's $5,000. Like if this trunk gets scraped, that's $10,000. And while it's not like a value that is going to like, set that tree right. It's something to like make sure that the person in the excavator knows that like you nick that tree, we lose all profits on this.
Yeah.
Like and it will have people be more careful around stuff that other people really care about. And so like, yeah, all right.
No, and I think the board would be really supportive of you putting a plan together like that, so.
It's called liquidated damages, in case you want the terminology needed for the contract.
Yeah.
So, been subject to that many times myself, so.
There we go.
Well, they have
Some kind
those
of
already in
year,
place for like all the oil involvement, like if they, cause I know, like if they hit a tree or if they do, like if they wanna go in, like all of that's already created. I don't know if we have any of that stuff,
Yeah,
not yet.
oh,
Okay.
you're talking oil and gas.
Yeah, like whenever they go in.
That's a whole
somewhere.
different
Okay,
thing.
well, I won't-
don't wanna get into
Yeah,
that.
we won't get into that,
But,
sorry.
From a tree standpoint, we don't have anything punitive like
Okay.
that right now, as far as I can recall.
Oh, you just put it on the general contractor, right?
Mhm.
And have them
Let him
would
trickle it
reinforce it,
down.
yeah.
And the other thing is, I feel like with that too, after this project was already underway, that needs to be in during the bid process. Like they need to read through the contract before they bid on it. They probably all factor that into their profit and loss, So, for me to go in and be like, hey, we should be doing this, I don't think that would work while they're already out there breaking ground and stuff, so.
And
definitely.
to add to this, just some background and stuff, the board generally decided to move forward on this due to the exploding budget on this item
Yeah.
and the desire to get it done. So the decision gave wide latitude to staff to actually do a lot of the decision making as the construction goes forward. We put our trust in them that they would make wise decisions. I think it's gonna be a pretty good result. But if there are issues, it's part of it, I guess, so
That's fair.
that makes sense.
Thanks, yeah.
We could have been more I would have made some fuss and walked out, and then it would have just gone back to work as usual. Give me you know, a straight line to their checkbooks, and then we're gonna start. They're gonna know me when I show up, you know. Yeah. All right. I have a ton of stuff open back here. So staff report. For instance, speaking of town park, we, you know, still watering, lots of hot days last month, trying to keep these trees, hydrated. One thing that the contractors out here have been helpful with is they, you know, let us use their water hookup to, spray out a lot of water or refill our truck, pretty quickly.
Oh, nice.
So, a lot of these watering days, especially with a new guy too helping, they've become a lot more convenient. We figured them out right towards the end of the year when, you know, now we have got sprinklers and stuff turned on there. So we had a couple watering days, since the last meeting. This is like just some of the limbs we took out. Some of them were damaged, some of them were dead, just kind of, you know, typical branch death throughout the year. We just, yeah, saw an opportunity to get in before all the landscaping was put in, and so we could drive our truck in there and, you know, hopefully not damage anything. And yeah. I don't know if I brought this up. Oh my gosh, my pictures are all over the place. You'll notice we are one tree down on Main Street. You can see Town Hall right in the back here, and A&W would be over here. This tree rose some suspicion a couple years ago when they could not inject it with the EAB treatments. It would not take it up, and kind of raised some concern at that point. Turns out this tree was very rotted out.
Wow.
Throughout the year, or throughout this whole year, it just had a bunch of crumbled wood. It was at this point that the homeowner had a contractor selected, but the contractor was still waiting on a permit to do work along the CDOT highway right there. Highway 56 is a CDOT highway. I saw it splitting like that, and I said, this work needs to happen. And I kind of expedited that process to a week, and we got that tree removed. That was a very, very bad tree. The more I saw of it, the scarier it got. So I've got another picture of that. We did a couple more prunings on our trees that we actually maintain. So this is along 10th, dog parks right over here. We had some weird dead tops in our Norway maples that have been there for quite a while. Just they look a little lopsided now, but we just cut out the large dead branches. Unfortunately, a lot of them are leaders, but yeah. Some stump grinding. We are going very hard on making planting room. We have really been psyching ourselves up for planting season this year. We missed the spring planting season because we were just so busy, but we are trying to make sure everything is out of the way for fall planting season. So we're making tons of planting sites, you know, taking out old trees, grinding stumps, everything. I think right now our count is up to somewhere in the mid-50s of spots ready to be planted, like as soon as we get trees. So not just that we have to go cut the tree down, they are prepped, ready to go, stumps ground, drip lines there, everything. So we are hoping to have a good planting season. Here's another
Wow.
I say anytime the tree blows or anytime the wind blows in Berthoud, something happens. And this was after, let's see, this was the 7th. So like a couple weeks ago, just a pretty standard, you know, cloud rolled over, kind of got a bit blustery, but it blew down one of our cottonwoods at, this is what we call Nebraska, but it's the eastern end of the trail that follows the little creek through town. This is where it kind of like naturalizes and kind of a pretty nice part of the trail here, but we had a whole cottonwood completely fail and fall on the fence there. We got that call at 5 o'clock and cleaned it up in 50 minutes though. That was pretty awesome. We really kicked butt there. We suspect it was a girdling root. There was this root right here. You can kind of see the notch that it was growing around, and it fell this way. So, and just cottonwoods, man. We've lost 3 of those type of cottonwoods over the last 3 years. We have about 1 fail a year. 2 at Pioneer and now this one. So, yeah. This was that tree on Main Street. You can see how much wood was still available or still alive. All this on the interior is all rotted. You can see the tiny bits of living connective tissue that might have still been keeping that tree covered with leaves, and you can see probably that big crack down the middle, which is what I had pictured in that first picture. So I'm glad I was able to catch that before, anything bad happened. Again, that level 3 assessment, that would have been able to catch this pretty quick. But yeah, it'd be nice to get our hands on some of that equipment.
Did the contractor take it down or did you?
The contractor did.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's the guy that I had work on my trees, I think. Cause he was saying he was working with the town about a tree on Main Street.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah. Just some bucket truck work, doing our keeping our banners up and our flags up on Main Street. Not super forestry related, but definitely utilizing our bucket truck. I think we've got all of these. I haven't been to Pioneer in a second to check on this, but we removed these really chlorotic maples that are along the pond. Some of them have been completely dead. Honestly, a lot of these might as well just be completely dead. These trees don't really stand a chance anymore. We're trying to, again, free up those spots and make some new planting spots. That's some pretty prime location, which we're excited about, trying something that will actually do well here. We had a great effort from all of our seasonal staff and my forestry staff worked together to clean up these Hot Wings maples that are also all at Pioneer. They had just really gotten out of shape, really growing into some of the public spaces. I don't know if anybody plays horseshoe anymore or uses this bocce pit, but they certainly weren't able to with the trees like this, and just looking pretty overgrown. And we were, my guys were able to really clean them up, get them looking nice, limb them up.
They look good, they do look good.
Yeah. Here's that bocce pit area that they cleaned up. Hopefully it'll allow for a little more airflow. Maybe they won't catch as much wind. They are brittle. Anytime it snows, we tend to lose, pretty good sized branch, but they're obviously pretty healthy.
Yeah, that one down at the east end, where that one branch came down. I noticed, I'm walking by there again, I noticed it's where that branch came off, there's a couple of other coming out from that stump area. It's a real scar on where it came off.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. But yeah, again, hopefully they just kind of outgrow their brittleness and come into their own. Again, making more spots. We've kind of come across a really good technique for just completely removing the tree with the root ball. So we actually just wrap a chain around the base of the trunk, and I don't have a kind of a action shot here. We just really tighten that chain down and lift up, and all the roots come out, and we don't have to hack away at root ball. I mean, it only works with pretty small trees, but you can just yank it right up. You don't have to pickaxe a root ball out or anything like that. That sucked. And then I just wanted to plug this. I know Kathy, you got a tree walk at Pioneer, or it was this weekend.
Yeah, Saturday.
So we actually we joke here in the town that there's dueling tree walks, because actually my forestry tech Brandon is he's been doing tree walks. He's done 2 now, and he's got 2 more scheduled. These are hosted at Fickle Park. usually on a Sunday at 10 a.m. And the next one is August 25th, 10 a.m. Pickle Park. And the last one, he's going to do 4. And so the last one this year is September 15th, 10 a.m. Pickle Park.
I've had a complaint from people that that's a difficult time for them to attend because of church on
Church.
Sunday.
Yeah, well, if we carry this on, we'll definitely need to be mindful of that. So also, if it's another thing we've got right on our main forestry page, all the info's down here, guided tree walks.
Oh, that's awesome.
He tries to focus on different trees actually each
That's
time,
nice,
so maybe for the returning members, they learn just about as much as they can about all the different kinds of trees, but I think they're interesting enough where if you just showed up for one, you would learn a lot about trees. Brandon's really into looking into the history on a lot of these trees. He finds, just about any historical significant. He's dug through old planting records for dates on certain trees being planted, and just also like historical, significance on a lot of these trees. So, definitely he had one go on this month. I forgot to bring it up last month, but if you guys want to attend, again, there's 2 more. I think one next Sunday and one in September. So definitely pretty good. We see an okay turnout. So I think again, kind of like Arbor Day, we'll start small, comfortable, and then hopefully we get something going. They are free as well, just open to the public, and yeah. Oh, Kathy, here's the
Except for the overtime, you have to pay them.
Oh, there's your bald cypress.
yeah. It really does look yellow this year. I don't know what it is, but yeah, that one's kind of a little on the yellow side. But yeah, so that's that is about it for the staff report.
Okay, then we're gonna jump back to the poster contest. This was the summation of the votes that I put together, and Amy, I'm sorry I didn't get your vote sheet to include in this.
It should have been in there, cause she gave me, Amy, was it in the box?
I'm not sure.
I looked through everything a couple different times, but anyway. So what I've done here is I've tried to, with these red circles, pick the choices that seemed like 1 or 2 or 3 people had in their selection. So it's not real scientific, but I've got these laid out on the table outside the door here, and I wanted to have a working session. But I'd like to do that after we adjourn. The part that I would like to get included into the notes are these questions that I had put out several months ago, calendar questions. It was in a handout that I emailed to everybody. And the first question was, how many do we think we should make when we get to the point of creating the calendars? So if anyone has thoughts on that, or we can defer this to next month's meeting. But we might just want to go through these questions again, and I'll repeat these in.
If I sent information from, the first one was, that's the lowest price you could get, but that's not a custom calendar. That's just picking out, so we want a custom calendar. My nephew's one was more of a custom calendar that he does for the family. It was only 8 calendars. It was in the close, pushing $300, over $270. But because he worked through Costco, and it's Shutterfly calendars, but working through Costco, he got a 51% discount. So I don't know what kind of discounts and what things that Randy has found out, but I imagine if we were going that way, it would be awkward because some person would have to have the Costco membership and get reimbursed. And I don't think, I'm not sure how the town financial network looks on that sort of activity.
I think we need to get the design nailed down
Yeah,
enough to where
let's
we can get a
focus.
quote on, the first 1,000, another 1,000 after that. So just think about that, you know, if it's gonna be one to, every child that submitted
Right.
one of the
Mhm.
posters, and how many businesses in town, that sort of thing. The second item I wanted to bring up was, should we include the names of the students on the calendar as Windsor has done? And I think one of you guys with the city was gonna go back and talk to the legal department to see if that is something that we really needed to pass by them first. But it could be a serious concern, listing a student's school location and their full name on a calendar that's distributed to the public.
Mhm.
And that was my main concern about bringing this up, so I think we still need to resolve that. I need somebody to take the action on what school or holidays should be included on the calendar. So we had talked about trying to include some key dates on those. If somebody could start to pull that up for the 24 or the 2025 calendar, that would be appreciated if I don't have to dig all that stuff up.
I've got, we get calendars from other organizations for 2025. We got a stack of them at home. We give them to the women's prison down in Denver, but we keep a few, so I could just go through that calendar and pull them up.
That'd be helpful, yeah,
Okay.
to see what we wanna get included there. Asking the question, can we get the calendar, can we get the 24-25 school year calendar in time to include on our calendar? So, I mean, we're in school now, so we can include the spring session, but then we'd also need to include the fall session for 2025,
Mhm.
if that's even been set. So somebody who's got a connection with the school, if they could track that down for me. The next item was, how high a quality do we want the paper to be printed on? And that again is gonna influence the cost. Looking at the calendar that Windsor had, it was very thick paper, high quality color. So as our first venture out, we could probably go toward the lower end. But again, I don't want to dictate to anybody what we should be using. If somebody wants to make this a high quality calendar on the very first publication, we just need to decide that and go forward with that. The next item was including a QR code on each page that links to that month's tree topic. So the ones that Stephanie publishes, so somehow linking that information in.
It might be easier just to do one general one and have something that's always rotating on the
Okay.
website. I mean, it might look silly, but like you flip each page, and it's the same QR code, but it'd be like, check for this month's tree care tip, and it just takes you to like the same page on the forestry page. But I think coming up with 12 right now seems a little daunting.
Okay,
And then having like corresponding pages on forestry, it might be easier to do something like
so
that.
as we're designing this, I'll try to allocate a spot to put a QR code there for each month so that we can keep that on there. And then also wanted to include the 2025 calendar on the back page with a collage of the submissions from 2024. So when they wanna go to the 2025 calendar, at least they'll have a collage of some of the posters that didn't get put into the calendar, but people will still be able to see them when they post the 2025 calendar, maybe waiting for the next year, so. It's those types of things looking forward that I wanna make sure we get included here. So, given that, and I'll include all those topics in the meeting notes again, so that you can review those. If we can adjourn at this point and then just take our group out and then try to pick 4 from each of the piles that we have out there, so that we can get moving on the calendar design.
Before you adjourn, I just have to let you know that I will not be able to attend the meeting on September 16th. I'll be somewhere in the middle of the country.
All right.
Well, neither will I, cause I was hoping on you to take the notes for me, but I guess I'll have to tap somebody else to take care of that, so
Okay,
I'm gonna be in the northeast.
well, that's where I'm heading.
Oh,
So I'll be in the middle of the country heading to the northeast.
okay.
So we'll adjourn at 6:35 PM. Our next meeting is September 16th.
Okay.
5 PM.
Thanks for joining us on Zoom, guys. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Tony.
Where are you going, Randy?
Maine?
That's where I'm going. Where in Maine?